Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate you. So today, yes, I'm back talking about Amberlynn again, but it's just because she keeps doing things relating to weight loss surgery and I keep having opinions and I just need to talk about them because literally nobody else in my life cares about this. So yeah. I'm gonna be reacting to two parts of two different videos. One, it's kind of like, they're kind of old now in the scheme of the internet. Like they're like over a week old. The other one's like 4 days old. So yeah, I'm just gonna be talking, she's talking more about how she got denied for weight loss surgery and all of that kind of stuff. And I think there's some interesting points to be made regarding what she's saying. And so I just wanted to lend my 2 cents again, even though nobody asked for it. Let's just get into it because I have nothing else to say.
Another update I have is, you guys know how, like, I said that I found out that I have to go a whole year without binging, and like I kind of had like a little breakdown moment. Like I cried in front of my dietitian. It was embarrassing, but you know, I just felt very overwhelmed. I didn't like,
and that's fair. Like honestly, I did kind of understand. I did understand her reaction, like her being emotional about not being able to get weight loss surgery at the time that she thought she did. But it was still such an odd reaction because she was never told that she couldn't get it, just like outright. She was just told she had to wait longer. And that's where my confusion really was, because I'm like, they're not telling you like you can't get weight loss surgery. They're just saying you have to wait a little bit longer.
take advantage at the time and like ask more questions.
Also, before we go any further, I need to say this is I'm not becoming an Amber React channel. That's not happening. I posted about this on my community tab and I just want it out there that I did private my video from a few years ago about like talking out against Amberlynn reaction videos. While I still don't fully understand the point of like creating a whole channel to talk about like one creator primarily and then maybe like a few others sprinkled in, it's whatever. But I was just starting to feel kind of hypocritical with how I was talking about Amber on my channel now. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. And also like, I'm only doing this as a reaction kind of video because like I feel the way she talks about things is really important in these two instances. So yeah, I just wanted those disclaimers out there. I forgot about that. Okay, let's keep going.
About why this is, or just like understand the situation a little bit more.
Good.
So I have an option of emailing her. So I took advantage of that option.
That's also what I was like confused about too. I'm like, why don't you find out more answers as to like why, if it's really bothering you so much that like you can't get it now. And so I was happy to hear that she did email or contact the dietitian to get more answers.
And I kindly just wanted to like understand things a little bit more. So we've actually been emailing back and forth for a couple of days, and she has explained things a little bit better for me, that like there is someone like above her, a psychologist above her, who actually reads like all her notes on her patients, and they help decide like the further plan for her patients. And the psychologist thinks that this is what's best for me.
And yeah, so for those of you who are new here or might just be coming across my channel, I had bariatric surgery, I had weight loss surgery 5 years ago, and I've lost about 100 pounds. It is important to note that like the dietitian in some programs does have a say. Mine did. Mine had to write me up. Mine had to give me the approval for my surgery. But I did think it was weird that like the dietitian was like the end all be all opinion. Also, if you can hear the geese outside, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. But yeah, so I thought it was weird the way she was phrasing it with like the dietitian basically being like the end all be all of the decision. Because while they did make a decision for me, it wasn't like the final decision.
And so does the dietitian. But she also wants the surgeon's opinion because everyone is different.
And that's common too. So like in my experience, my very last appointment before scheduling my surgery was with the dietitian, and he ultimately gave like the last like, you're good to go, Megan, let's do this. So yeah, I figured that was not the last step like she was making it out to be. But yeah.
Every story is different. Everyone, it's a different plan. It's not one size fits all at all. So she's actually talking to the surgeon tomorrow about my story and my situation in particular. And she said she's going to get back to me.
I think the thing that's always fascinated me about Amberlynn, and I've seen a lot of other people talk about this as well, is that she feels like her situation is like so much different than any other fat person's, when really it's not. Especially when it comes to weight loss surgery, like everybody gets weight loss surgery having like a problem with food or whatever, but they do make sure that that problem with food is under control before you get surgery. And so I think it's real, although this is a horrifying pause, I'm so sorry, Amberlynn. I've always thought it was interesting that Amberlynn has always thought that she's just so like unique and that she needs like special situations or special accommodations to like fix this, when really it's not that. Like, yeah, losing weight can be harder for different people, especially women, and so like I get that, but it's like it's not. I really don't think she's like as a unique of a case as she thinks she is, personally.
I could talk to the surgeon, of course.
And she wishes this was where I was like, okay, I need to start talking about this. This surgeon knows who is going to be good for surgery and who isn't. And so does the dietitian, to be honest. And I talked about this in my last video. I feel like these people can smell somebody who feels like it's just like, especially for self-pay, which she is, that it's just easy to like walk in, go check all the boxes, pay the money, and get the surgery. I feel like they can smell people like that a mile away. And I genuinely feel like Amberlynn would tell the surgeon what she thinks he wants to hear to get surgery, and I don't think that they'd buy it. Like, I just don't think that it would be bought. And so, yeah, when she was like, I want to talk to the surgeon, I was like, bestie, that's not how this works. That's not how this works in any bariatric program that I know of. So, yeah. Also, I've gotten comments saying that I spread misinformation about weight loss surgery. I'm just talking about my own experiences. So if you're interested in weight loss surgery, I would definitely encourage you to go do your own research. But yeah, I just want to say, like, everything I talk about is literally just like what happened with me, what I was told, all that kind of stuff.
One, because it is a lot of like telephone and like through the grapevine type thing. And I would love to talk to the surgeon one-on-one. I understand I can't right now. The surgeon is very popular. There's just a way that they do things, and I understand that. So I think after, she talks to the surgeon and communicates to me what the surgeon thinks should happen, I think I'll have a clearer answer. And I think what would be really helpful to me, and I don't know if this is like because I have that obsessive side of me, like I was diagnosed with OCPD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. I was diagnosed with that like 5 years ago, and it was just like a couple years ago I was diagnosed with actual OCD.
One thing also about Amberlynn that I found really fascinating or just interesting is that she very much ties a lot of her identity into her mental health diagnoses. And like, I have my own diagnoses. Like, I make jokes about it a lot and like how it affects my personality and how it affects my life and whatever. But like, I've always been a big proponent of like mental health as an explanation, not an excuse kind of thing. And so I do think that certain people, that like it's good to ask for accommodations sometimes to help your mental health, but what she's about to say here just like I don't think is possible at all. So yeah,
you can have both. So I don't know if it's one of these, but it's like I feel like I need to have my surgery date scheduled, even if it is a year from now.
And I do understand, I'm sorry, I'm pausing a lot. I do understand this sentiment because, so I lost 40 pounds before I had surgery. And people always ask me, they're like, well, why didn't you just keep going that way? Why did you have the surgery? And for me, in my mind, my like very goal-oriented mind, I was working, I was in the mindset that I was working towards surgery this whole time. And so like that was my goal. And so I met that goal to lose the weight before surgery, and then I had surgery. And so having like a date in mind, I think I can definitely understand that in terms of like you have a goal to work towards. I'm going to let her finish this thought and then I'll keep going.
Or 10 months from now. I want to know the date, because for some reason it's like, I know I'm working towards something big and something amazing and something life-changing, but I feel like if I have that exact date, then it's like I could touch it, I could feel it, I know it's there. I don't know if that's like part of my OCPD, but I just feel like I need it scheduled. And it's like, obviously, if I don't meet requirements and I don't do what they tell me to do, etc., then the surgery is going to be canceled. But it's like, if I do everything they tell me I'm going to do and what I'm supposed to do, and it's like, if I have a date for when my life is absolutely going to change, I can see myself being more successful. It doesn't make sense to you guys, I'm sure. I'm sure it's not going to make any sense, which is fine. But just don't come for me. Don't judge me. It's
the defensiveness in that. I was like, oh, sorry.
It's like more obtainable. It's like I could touch it. I could feel it. I could taste it. If like there's an actual date. I don't know how to explain it. It's weird, okay? It's just because I hate the unknown. I hate the unknown. It's like the worst. So that is something that is possible, because I know there are people, because there's people who have reached out to me who have gotten weight loss surgery. So many of you. So thank you for reaching out to me on my Instagram and sharing your stories. I love reading them and corresponding with you guys. A lot of you actually had your surgery like scheduled for 3 months out. And I was like, okay, so if people can do that, then I'm pretty sure like 10 to 12 months out is possible as well.
Okay, so that's the thought that I wanted to let her finish. So yes. So when I had my consultation with the bariatric surgeon, which was like the final boss of like the bariatric program, I think we then scheduled my surgery. I think it was like a month out, because I was from a really small town and the bariatric surgeons came up from the lower peninsula of Michigan to the upper peninsula of Michigan for a week out of each month. And so they immediately just scheduled me for that next month. But these people that are telling her that they had their surgery scheduled like 3-4 months out in advance, to me, I read that as like they did all of the like things that they were supposed to do before surgery and then got approved by everybody, and then they scheduled their surgery, and it just so happened that it couldn't be until 3 or 4 months out. Like, that is how I read that, because from what I know and how my program worked, like that's how the scheduling process worked. In any medical situation, other than like physicals or like checkups or whatever, I have a really hard time believing that they would schedule a surgical procedure a year in advance. Like, there's so much that can happen in a year, and it just feels weird. I don't know. Let me know if you've ever been able to do that. But this just felt so odd to me. Because like I just genuinely don't think that they would ever schedule a year in advance. On this whole topic of like having a date, I get it. Like I said, I get having that goal to work towards. But the thing with weight loss surgery, that the sooner you can accept, the better, because then your whole like perspective will be changed about it, is that yes, surgery is the initial goal. But everything that happens from surgery happens after you have it. And so, yes, getting the surgery is a process, but post-op is so much more difficult than pre-op in hindsight. And because after you have weight loss surgery, you are someone who has to deal with the effects of it for the rest of your life. Or if you don't do that, you'll gain the weight back. So I think she's looking at weight loss surgery, just from what I've seen, I feel like she's looking at weight loss surgery as like this one thing that she just has to get done, and it'll fix all of her problems. When really, the fixing comes afterwards. And I am 5 years out from mine. Like, I started my program, it was 5 years ago in February. In September, it'll be 5 years since I had surgery. I'm still actively fighting obesity. I'm still actively fighting the unhealthy coping mechanisms that I had with food, or like how I used food as an unhealthy coping mechanism. I'm still actively fighting those things. I think that's like one of the big things with this whole thing with Amberlynn that I've noticed, is that she's treating weight loss surgery like it's this one thing that she just has to do and then her whole life will be better. She has not yet acknowledged at all the amount of work that goes into it after you have surgery. And really, in my opinion, from my own experience, you have like a 2-year grace period maximum of that surgery basically doing the work for you. So in that 2 years, more likely that first year, you have to be working on keeping the healthy habits that you developed pre-surgery. You have to keep working on those after surgery, so they just become habits, and you're gonna slip up after. Like after that 1 year, after that 2 years, you're gonna slip up. Like I've talked very openly on my channel how I am now actively working to lose like 40 pounds of regain, because that happens. You can start eating a normal amount of calories a day and gain the weight back. And so it's all about keeping those healthy habits and increasing them too, because the more weight you lose, the more you're going to have to work to keep it off after surgery. And so that's like with this whole date thing, that was like really, really just like, I really needed to talk about it, because to me, it just proves that Amberlynn is not ready for weight loss surgery yet. Like I said in both my other videos about this, do I think it is the right option for her? Yes. Have I been thinking that in my mind for a very long time? Yes. But do I think she's ready for it right now? No. And do I think that her having to wait this like year, or now like 10 months or so, is a very good thing and is a very common thing for people to have to do with eating disorders? Yes. And so, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. That's what I've been thinking about this whole date thing.
It's just, it gives me a goal. It's like a physical goal, and there's no unknown. There's no like, oh my God, when is this gonna happen? So that is something that I wanna talk about with my dietitian, and then like the surgeon, because eventually I will be seeing the surgeon, and I'm excited for that appointment, because it's like the surgeon is like the end all be all type thing. And you know, for a minute there, I thought it was the psychologist was the end all be all, but it's not. There's so many little tiny things when you get weight loss surgery, outside of like the bigger picture and the bigger things that you have to change.
And I need to be petty for a second. Like I really do. And I'm trying not to be like mean or whatever. I get that the process of getting weight loss surgery is super overwhelming, with like all of the appointments and the checkups and the everything. I get it. I get that it's really overwhelming. But for me, this is also really interesting to watch, because for those of you who are not new here, you'll know that I had my weight loss surgery my senior year of college. I had it the fall semester, which is arguably the hardest one of your senior year. So yeah, I get that the process of getting weight loss surgery is like super overwhelming. There's so much to do. There's so much to keep track of. And like I said, I'm not trying to be like judgmental or whatever, but it's really hard for me to sit here. And I think this is why like I want to talk about this so much, is because for me, it's really frustrating watching her like pretty much complain about how much work just getting the surgery is. I was having to schedule all of these doctor's appointments, all of these follow-ups, all of these tests, all of the blood work, everything around my college classes. On top of that, like when I actually had the surgery, I had to take 2 weeks off of school and make everything up, and I had to bring all of my weird pre-op diet foods into class with me, and I had to bring all my weird post-op stuff into class with me. It was not convenient. It was not convenient at all, but I knew that it was going to save my life. And also, I don't think I've talked about this on my channel before, but the same month that I started my bariatric program, I had someone in my life that I was super close with pass away extremely unexpectedly. And I knew after that happened, and how I handled it, that I was so ready for this change in my life, because I didn't gain weight after that happened. Like, I didn't choose food. I exercised more. I did more. I got out more and did that kind of stuff. But honestly, in hindsight, 2018, the year that I got surgery and the year that I did my program, to this point in my life, and I'm 26, 2018 was one of the hardest years of my life. I experienced so much loss in that year. And I honestly think that my weight loss and my surgery and everything that came along with it was the thing that just like kept me going, because I knew the people that I lost that year would want to see me succeed. And so yeah, everything other than my surgery and my weight loss in 2018 sucked ass. And having to fit all of it in around college sucked ass too. It was not easy. And so I think that's why I want to talk about this so much with Amberlynn, is because she makes it seem like everything's so hard, and like it is hard. It's not easy. It's annoying. Like, you have to do all these things, but like I think it should be like that because it helps prepare you for surgery like the most you can be prepared for it. And so hearing her as a YouTuber that doesn't do much all day besides do YouTube, which I am a YouTuber, I'm not throwing shade at YouTubers, but like she doesn't have a lot of other obligations in her life. Hearing her complain about how annoying and hard this process is really hard for me to hear. And like, I know that's petty, and I know that's probably me being judgmental, but like, it's just how I feel. So yeah, okay, let's keep going.
A lot. And someone like me, OCPD, obsessive compulsive personality disorder, where I feel like I have to be in control and I have to have it the right way, and like the appointments have to be the right way in the right order, and it's just like I don't have this control. And I feel like I would have a sense of control if I just like had an exact date.
One of the things with weight loss surgery too is you kind of have to relinquish some control, because some things are going to react with you differently and you don't know that and you're not expecting it and whatever. You have to very much develop, specifically after you have the surgery, you have to kind of develop the whatever happens happens mentality, because like there's just some things that you cannot plan for after surgery. And so like I had to go to the ER because I thought I had a blood clot, and like plain water made me sick for like the first 2 weeks after I had surgery, and like all this like weird little stuff happens after surgery, and it still does sometimes. And so I think this also just proves that Amberlynn needs more psychological work before she has surgery, because you do kind of have to relinquish control a little bit, actually a lot of it after surgery, I found anyways.
To work towards that goal. I'm totally rambling right now, but I don't know. I'm just feeling more hopeful. I know in that video where I told you guys like this, this whole year, it just gives me room to fail, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've obviously had some time to like think on it and absorb the information given to me. And I've had some people tell me that I was a spoiled brat because I was upset.
It's because she was acting like a spoiled brat, and I'm an only child. I have my moments, okay? But in like just objectively, she was acting like a spoiled brat in that video, because she wasn't told she couldn't have something. She was just told that she couldn't have it at the time she thought she could. For her own health, also. I was getting spoiled brat vibes from that video as well. But I just didn't say anything, so yeah.
That to me was like, ma'am, spoiled brat who? No, I'm ready to actively change my life, and I know that with weight loss surgery, it's gonna make it happen quicker and faster. It's gonna save my life.
It happens quicker and faster, but it doesn't stay that way, and that doesn't mean that after you lose the weight, it's just gonna stay off. Like, you need to like get that thought out of your head, because if you just think it's like a quick, fast, life-saving thing, no life-saving thing is quick and fast. Like, that's just not how that works, at least in this instance. And so yeah, like that also to me is just like, holy crap, she really needs to like know what she's going into still, and she doesn't.
Calling me. Anyways, let me answer this and I will talk to you guys later. But I'm not a spoiled brat. I'm just ready to change my life. Okay, I'm back. I just got off the phone. I just felt like I needed to finish my thought process. Yeah, I've had time to like think and like absorb and process, and obviously it was disheartening because like in my heart I was like, yeah, I got this. I'm totally gonna get surgery by summer. And it's like the fact that I was told that, you know, that's probably not gonna happen. Like, of course that was a little.
I sped her up double speeds.
It's like if I wouldn't have felt that way, if I would have just been like, oh, okay, that's totally fine, then I know I'm not wanting this at all. Because I'm very much like instant gratification. I want, you know, that instant. And it's like, I only want that when I really want something. So if I wouldn't have felt the way that I did when I was first told that information, then it's like, that's an indicator that, Amberlynn, you don't want this as bad as you thought you did, you know? So it's like the fact that I did react that way is a total Amberlynn. Like, of course I'm going to feel disheartened, and I'm going to, you know, I've spent my whole life, like my first diet when I was 11 years old, I've spent my whole life yo-yo dieting. And it's like,
I can relate to that. My weight has always been a topic of conversation like my entire life. And the pressure that puts on you starting at such a young age really kind of sucks. So I can empathize with that for sure.
I was able to do it by myself. Someone just walked past the window. If I was able to do it by myself and be successful by myself, then I would have already done it. And I know that with this extra tool of weight loss surgery, it's going to change my life and it's going to help me. This might be the tool that might actually save my life. Example, if you're trying to hang up this picture and it's like you try to hang it up for 10 years and it's not hanging. You're like, what is happening? You realize, oh, okay, this picture is pretty heavy. Maybe I need.
I've already watched this and like it's not a good metaphor in my opinion.
Get that nail. The nail is right there. It's in arm's reach. But they say, you know what? Let's wait a year. You're like, damn. I just need that one last little tool so I can hang the picture on my wall. That might be a bad metaphor, but that's just the best way to explain it. That like my picture can't be hung without the nail, you know, and that's my metaphor for weight loss surgery. Sure.
I also like I get, because I think when you get weight loss surgery, like it does feel like it's kind of like your last ditch option. At least it should when you're getting weight loss surgery, in my opinion. And so I get that, but I think also realizing and knowing and preparing for a very significant amount of work on your own outside of the surgery post-op is also very important. And from this, I'm just getting that Amberlynn thinks this is literally the only way that she can lose weight now. When really, if she just stuck to a diet pre-op and like moved a little bit more, I genuinely feel like the weight would be falling off of her because of her size. Like, I lost 40 pounds in a relatively short amount of time, and I was half the size she is. I just think, like, if she just stuck to it, had her checkups with her doctors and everybody else, that the weight would just fall off of her, which would then make her surgery and her recovery much, much easier.
I can lose some weight on my own, but I can't get to a healthy weight without the help of surgery. And you guys have seen that. I've lost 89 pounds multiple times in my life. The most I've ever lost is 116. I can't go any further than that. Like, I need help. And that is why weight loss surgery is there. And, you know, I'm very saddened.
And I really think the reason that she, quote, can't get any further than that is because of her ED. And we're going to talk about in the next video that she doesn't think that she has that ED anymore. But I genuinely think that the reason up until this point that she has not been able to get past that certain weight loss point is because of her ED, which needs work, which in turn makes her not a suitable candidate for weight loss surgery yet.
Took it that way, that I seemed like a spoiled brat or like I was throwing a tantrum. God, no. It was just I've been so stressed with all of the tests and not being able to turn to food for like emotional reasons. And, you know, you have to realize.
And you need to get that coping mechanism like as far out of your brain as possible before you have surgery, because if you don't, so many things after surgery could happen. Transfer addiction could happen. You could hurt yourself. You could spiral into a worse mental state in a bunch of other ways. So, like, you need to have that coping mechanism like as worked on as possible before you have surgery, in my opinion. I knew I had to do that, and so that's what I did. But yeah.
For years at a time, for months at a time, whatever it may be, whatever era I was in my life, I would turn to food all the time. And already that being taken from me because I'm so serious about weight loss surgery, like already that being taken, it just adds a whole other stress on top of like all the appointments and just everything. It's just been really stressful. And I don't need people to understand that, but I guess it's just like to be called a spoiled brat when it's like, that's not me. That's not me. That is not who I am as a person at all. And to be told like you're throwing a tantrum, what? Yeah, I'm sad that like saving my life has been prolonged. And I know a lot of people are like, do it yourself then in this year. Yeah, I'm gonna do what they tell me, but I'm not gonna be able to actively save my life in this year until I get weight loss surgery. Just like I cannot hang this picture successfully until I have the nail that I need. And I don't know how else to explain that. And I'm just very grateful that like my dietitian completely understands where I'm coming from, because sometimes the risk of getting weight loss surgery is less than the risk of not getting it. And that is a very like hot topic of like just more risky for me currently. And in my heart and in my soul, I feel like it's more risky for me not to get the surgery, because we all know Amberlynn, and I don't hold on to success for months at a time. I'll do amazing for a couple weeks and then I just fall flat.
And also just like the defeatist attitude she has towards herself, I think is really sad. And I think also needs some psychological work too. This is somebody who's been in and out of therapy for a really long time, and I've currently been in therapy for like 3 years, 4 years almost. And so like consecutively, I think that's also something that like you really need to work on before you have therapy, before you have surgery, because if you're going in being like, I can't stick to anything, I can't do, then you're not going to. Even with surgery, you're not going to. And yeah, you'll still be losing weight post-surgery because you had so much of your stomach removed. But like when that grace period, like I talked about, ends, then like you need to have that confidence in yourself to know that you can keep going.
And I end up failing because I feel like I have nothing to work towards. And now I do. I have weight loss surgery to work towards. Bottom line, and long story short, it's just this program worries about people with BED or possible BED, because you don't want your stomach to rupture after surgery or anything like that. Whether I was misdiagnosed in the past or not, the fact is I was diagnosed and I was seeing a psychologist for a year. I literally had someone message me and they're like, my first appointment with the weight loss surgery place is coming up, and should I lie to them about having binge eating disorder? And I responded to them and I said, no, you need to be honest. Because yes, for some programs like mine,
I don't think I'd seen this part of that video, and my God, please don't lie to any of your doctors about anything, because how are you gonna get help?
Step back. I know there's a lot of programs out there where it's not like this, and unfortunately I'm not lucky enough to have found that program, but it's like there's a big bittersweet, because the surgeon I see,
I really don't think there are a lot of programs out there not like this. Like anybody I've talked to who has also had weight loss surgery has been told the same thing, that like you need to get the mental stuff as like worked on as you possibly can before you have surgery. And like I had to, and so, like I said, so many other people who have had weight loss surgery that I've talked to had to as well. And so yeah, I really don't think this is as uncommon as she's like making it seem.
Phenomenal. The team, phenomenal. Like I love the dietitian. I love everyone I've spoken to at this clinic. Everyone I've seen, phenomenal. Like this, everything that I feel has to do with them. It has been just an amazing experience. Besides the setback, but it has nothing to do with them. So everything I'm saying is just because like I'm an impatient gal and I'm ready to save life. Don't be ready. A year does seem super far, not gonna lie, but it's okay. It's okay. Time goes by regardless, and in a year from now, I can be in a way better spot. So I have to really look at like the positives of the situation as well. Like, they're looking out for me, and I love that. So what I was thinking was like, yeah, someone messaged me and said, should I tell them should I lie about that? And I was like, what? No. I hope that is not what I'm portraying.
I'm gonna scrub through this a little bit because I think this is about where I wanted to stop this one. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna cut it there and go move on to the next one, which was uploaded like a few days after this one was. And this one's like honestly kind of like more concerning than the other one, in my opinion, So, yeah.
So today is Saturday, so regarding my dietitian, talking to my surgeon, that's probably not gonna happen until next week. So I'm not gonna get any more answers or anything till then. So make sure to keep you guys updated. I've had a lot of people tell me that I should like see if I can get weight loss surgery with a different program.
No. Sorry.
Because some of you were like, actually I'm not gonna say some of you, a lot of you are in my DMs telling me that this is like the strangest thing they've ever heard, because like weight loss surgery is supposed to help with binge eating.
Weight loss surgery doesn't help with binge eating. Weight loss surgery does not fix your brain. It doesn't. Like, I still have all of the same mental things that I had before I had weight loss surgery now, 5 years post-op. And some of them are arguably worse. So it definitely does not it does not fix binge eating. That's just not a thing. And so, like, I really worry that she has this mentality at all.
A friend of mine, if you're watching, hi, said something that really, I was like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. She said, it feels like, or seems like, having me wait a whole year is like telling a drug addict, I want you to be a whole year sober before you go into rehab. You know, like, that was a really good metaphor. And I was like, yeah, it kind of does.
To me, that doesn't seem like the same thing. Like, I've known addicts, like, I'm familiar with the process. And honestly, like, when you go into rehab, a lot of times they do make you detox for a certain amount of time. So there's that. But also, rehab is a completely mental thing. Like that's what you're fixing, is your brain, because you're mentally and physically addicted to something. You're not getting anything removed from your body. Like, you're not having your body physically altered in rehab, at least to my knowledge. And so I feel like her having to work on her BED before surgery is not the same thing at all as telling an addict that they have to be sober for a year before they go to rehab. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because your mental state has to be, with regards to your relationship with food and any eating disorders, like I've said 1,000 times, has to be as under control as possible before you go in and have the physical aspect of your rehabilitation done. Because to me, like, it can be before you have the physical part of the surgery done, because surgery is, like, more mental than it is physical. But I mean, obviously the physical part is a big part of it. But yeah, this just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah.
That way. Like, I don't binge in the definition that they say. Like, 3 times the amount of food you normally eat. Like, I've never done that. And people are coming out of the woodwork saying, like, how binging is, like, you get so desperate you need the condiments in your home. What? I've never done that.
So, I have never been diagnosed with a binge eating disorder. I genuinely don't think I ever really had, like, an eating disorder, but my eating was disordered, if that makes sense. Like, my relationship with food was not quote-unquote normal, but I definitely wasn't to the point of having an eating disorder. But from what I understand about binge eating disorder from people who have had it, or who have it and are recovering or are recovered from it, is that a binge looks different from person to person. So, like, the amount of food that quantifies as a binge to somebody is extremely subjective. And so I think she had the dietitian give probably an example of saying, like, oh, a binge is like when you eat 3 times the amount that a normal person does. And she took that and she just ran with it and was like, well, I don't binge. I'm fine. I don't need to do any more mental work or psychological work before I have surgery. And, like, she's just running with it. And that's really concerning. Because from what I understand, what qualifies as a binge to different people with BED is different from person to person.
I only ever want to eat, like, junk. And that's why I feel like, I mean, this is obviously my fault as well. I just don't feel like I binge, and I'm just starting to, like, see it more clearly now, because, like, I don't think I've ever wanted to look further deeper into, hey, is this binging or is this just a food addiction? I never wanted to take the time to do that. So it was always just so much easier. I hate how this eyebrow's darker, but it doesn't look like that in person, but on camera it does. It was just so much easier to just be like, yeah, I binge.
I feel like this is a situation where 2 things can be true at once. And, like, you see a lot on My 600 Pound Life that, like, they all talk about having a food addiction, but, like, they also, a lot of them talk about, like, binging. And so I feel like it is possible to have both things at the same time. And if so, you need to treat them at the same, maybe not at the same time, but you need to treat them each. And so, yeah, I feel like it's with Amberlynn, and I went to art school, don't come for me. But, but like, I think in Amberlynn's case, it is a case that of two things can be true at the same time.
Denial, it's just a lot easier to say that instead of like, no, what's really going on? I was just trying to fall onto something, and by doing that, I have actively ruined my future.
She didn't actively ruin her future. She's just doing what a lot of people have to do before they have weight loss surgery.
So, I'm gonna do my eyeliner after I talk to y'all. I think this is a good example that like you can't fall back on things. If you want to get help, you need to be very honest with professionals, but with yourself. Very, very honest. And I'm learning the hard way that living in delusional land and denial land gets you nowhere. And it's easy to sit there and be like, yeah, I eat a large quantity of food and I feel guilty afterwards. It sounds like binge eating, but realistically, I eat a large quantity of food because that's how I've been since I was a child. I just eat large portions.
But that doesn't mean, to me anyway, with my knowledge of binge eating, because believe me, I've done a lot of research on it because like I wanted to know if that's what I was dealing with. To my knowledge, two things can be right at the same time. And so I just think she took this definition that this example that her dietitian gave her in the bariatric program and said, oh, I don't do that, so I don't binge, but also was told that she had to wait a year for her weight loss surgery because of her eating disorder. And so now she's like just doing like all these mental gymnastics to like justify a way that she doesn't have binge eating disorder, when like so much of her content up until this point has been centered around that. And so I just think it's really interesting that now she's like backtracking, and I think it's actually kind of concerning.
Guilty afterwards because I don't like being fat. So it's like, I don't know, there's such like it's not black and white. There's like this fine gray area, and it frustrates me because like weight loss surgery is just like continuously and constantly on my mind because I want it so bad. And it's like, should I go to another program? Because a lot of people are telling me I should.
I really don't think she should go to another program, because I think another program is going to tell her the same thing. Because I think more often than not, this is something that anybody has to go through. Like, I had to go through a full psychological evaluation in my program, and if they found anything that could be counteractive in my behaviors to the surgery, then they were going to push it off. And from anybody that I've talked to who has gone to a good program, it's the same case over and over and over again. So I genuinely feel like she'd go through everything again and be told the same thing. Now I'm like even hesitant to bring this up in a video, but I have seen it like everywhere. People are wondering why, if she's self-pay anyway, why she doesn't just go to Mexico and have it done, because a lot of people do that who are like impatient and like don't want to go through the rigmarole, or just like don't have insurance or whatever. They go to Mexico and they have bariatric surgery done, which like I'm not saying anything's like worse about Mexico, but I do think that there is something to be said about the process leading up to bariatric surgery that's really important to everything after it. And so like I really hope that she doesn't look into that option, because I genuinely think if anybody has to go through some kind of prep to have at least 80% of their stomach cut off, it's Amberlynn.
And it's like I really trust in the people that I'm seeing now, but this is a very big change in my life that I want, that I need, and it's to save my life. Right now, I stay confused. I just stay confused because misdiagnosing someone, it does happen. It's a common thing that happens. Obviously, I just went through the whole lung debacle where we thought it was one thing, the doctors thought it was one thing, turns out it was something else, and getting misdiagnosed is very common. I had uterine cancer, and I'm sure everyone who watches knows that. And I went to the doctor for the symptoms that I was having. I went to the ER, and I always left with the same diagnosis, a UTI. And that was something that I went through for a couple years. It was always a UTI. And that's a complete misdiagnosis because it was cancer the whole time causing those symptoms. And ever since I had a hysterectomy, I've never had a single one of those symptoms again. And it's frustrating that.
And I can like empathize with that, like especially as a woman getting diagnosed for things, or like having doctors like actually endorse what you're saying is wrong with you is rare, especially when it comes to women, like lady bits things. Or I can't understand that, like maybe that has caused some like trauma for her with doctors and trusting them and that kind of thing. But I really, really, really just don't think that she was misdiagnosed with binge eating disorder. I don't. And that's, yeah.
Being misdiagnosed is a thing and can happen, but it's also common because doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, they are not robots at all. So yeah, okay, I'm just back to rambling about weight loss surgery. Again, I swear that's not what these vlogs are going to be. I just feel like I want to express myself a little bit more. And right now I'm just like, I'm very mad at myself because I feel like I exaggerated my food issues because I was in such denial that I exaggerated my food issues when I first started seeing a psychologist because I thoroughly believed that I had binge eating. And
I really don't think she exaggerated anything because like in past videos from like years ago, she's shown like binges and she's shown herself getting food fully mentally ready to have a binge later on. And so like I really just don't think she exaggerated anything. I think she was just honest with how she was feeling and how she has dealt with her problems and like has treated food her entire life. And that's what led to this diagnosis. And I think it's a very fair one. And now I feel like since it's keeping her from getting something that she wants, like right now, she's now trying to like explain it away. And yeah.
It's like the more I actually learn about it and the more I actually learn about myself, I don't binge. I don't binge. And I know a lot of the haters are like, you're just saying that so you can get weight loss surgery. No, I'm saying that because I'm finally choosing me. I'm finally wanting to be healthier. I'm finally wanting to understand myself more and why I am the way I am. And it's like this whole time I've been so blind to that. Like even towards the end of like seeing a psychologist, like there were several times where in my head I was like, there's no way that I have binge eating. And this was before I even wanted weight loss surgery. And it's like, I'm just more aware now that I don't binge at all. I overeat a lot. Yes, I do, because I have a bigger stomach. Someone my size has a bigger stomach. So I overeat and I obviously feel guilty about it. Like anyone who overeats who is at a higher weight is going to feel guilty about it.
I think a lot of people overeat, but I think fewer people binge. Personally, that's my opinion. And I think with binging, that's how you get to the weight that Amberlynn is. And it's sad, and I'm not trying to be judgmental with this because it is a sensitive topic, and I get that. And I know that I'm not like a mental health professional, and I'm not a health professional by any means, but just like I've been around the block a little bit, and like I really have a hard time believing that Amberlynn does not have binge eating disorder. And I think now, like I've said, she's just trying to explain it away now that it's keeping her from getting the thing that she wants. Oh, okay. Well, that was it. Okay. So, thanks for watching. This is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think down below because I'm always curious. And yeah, be sure to check out my merch store right now because I have a fundraiser going on with all my merch. All the profits from those things will go towards the National Center for Transgender Equality because it is a scary, scary time to be a trans person in America right now. And I am fortunate enough to have the platform that I do, and I'm just trying to help the best that I can. As someone who's a member of the LGBTQ community as well, I just feel very helpless right now, so I'm trying to do something. So definitely go check that out. 100% of the profits will be donated. The profit donation breakdown is on every single item, so you know exactly how much will be donated from the purchase of that item. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, drink your water, take your meds, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.